AITAH for yelling at my little sister that I'm not her mom. I am not the original poster. Oop is divided by sister confusion, and they post on Redivided by AITAH and Redivided by entitled parents. June 26, 2024. Throwaway because my main account has my coding stuff on it. Quick backstory. My 3-4F parents had me pretty young, and we struggled a lot growing up. Dad was away a lot for work, and my mom started drinking, and she was pretty abusive. I was pretty much on my own for most of my life, until I was 14 when my mom gave birth to my sister, now to 0F. I'll call her Pam. Mom's drinking got worse, and Dad was never around much because of work. He did a lot of construction jobs all over the state. I pretty much took care of my sister from the moment Mom brought her home from the hospital. I spent all of my teen years, and many of my college years, taking care of her. When I was 21, my dad got into a pretty nasty accident at work, the job site's fault, and he had to go on disability, and Mom's drinking slowed down with him home every day, and I finally felt comfortable to move out. Until then though, I did everything for Pam, not to mention most of the cleaning and cooking for the household because Mom was often too drunk. From diaper changing to homework help, I pretty much raised her, and honestly, by the time I left, I realized I was never going to want to have kids. We're still close. We talk on the phone every few days, sometimes every day. She doesn't really like that I'm married now and moved to towns over, but we still see each other every week. I've always felt very maternal towards her, but I want to reiterate, she is not my child, because the fight was about that. A couple days ago, she called me and was already crying when I answered the phone. I was really concerned, and I asked her what happened. I thought maybe she got dumped or something. She starts talking about betrayal, and how could I do that to her and all that stuff. And I finally get her to calm down. That's when she comes out and says she knows that I'm actually her mom and that I just didn't want her, and that's why our mom raised her as my sibling. I kinda laughed because, what in the VC, Andrew's right, but she was serious and she started crying again, and finally I yelled, "I'm not your mom, I'm just your sister," or something like that, and she screamed at me that I was a failure of a parent and hung up on me. I called her back but she won't answer. I'm now NC with my mother, because of the early childhood abuse divided by parentification, and my dad passed away 2 years ago, so I can't just call him up and ask him to talk to Pam and find out what's going on. I did call my aunt, Mom's sister, but she's never been that close to the family, and the last time she talked to Pam or my mom was last Christmas. Maybe I handled this all wrong. I shouldn't have left. I was just surprised, and the more she started telling me I was a bad parent, even though I'm not, and yet I still raised her, I got more and more upset. My husband said my reaction was normal, but my best friend said I could have been nicer. So, AITAH. Edit. Quick update. After dinner I sat her down and read your replies. Thank you. I thought about what you all said, and that my sister might be going through a rough time, so I tried calling her again to apologize. Even if I wasn't entirely wrong, I know she's under pressure right now with school and work and whatnot. She didn't answer the phone, so I tried using my husband's cell and she picked up. I think she was screening her calls. Anyway, she didn't let me talk much. I told her again I wasn't her mom, but she doesn't believe me. The person who said my mom might have had something to do with this was right. Mom evidently told her my big family secret and that she was my kid. That's all I got out of her before she yelled at me and hung up. She's really upset and I don't want to push her right now, so I'm going to give her a couple of days. I don't have access to birth certificates or anything, but I'll eventually stop by with some pictures of me from those years and Mom, who is obviously pregnant in them, and offer to do a DNA test. I don't know if that can be done, but maybe. Hopefully that will be the end of this. Relevant comments. Delicious SLIC 9702. Greater than NTA. Greater than who knows for how long she has had this idea in her head and she finally told you. Maybe is her only way to justify your mom's actions while she was growing up and not feeling loved by her, and you being her mom was the only explanation that made sense to her. Greater than either way. You sister needs therapy to overcome her childhood trauma. Of greater than you're right, and once I get this whole thing cleared up I'm going to offer to help her find someone, maybe through the school, but if not, I can probably afford to pay for a few months to get her started with some processing of the trauma of our childhoods. Betty get my cane. Greater than VC Andrew's analogy is epic. Greater than NTA. I'm not picking up that anyone in your family 1 communicated at all, much less effectively, and 2 had anything resembling boundaries. That's a recipe for all kinds of problematic misunderstandings down the line. But to your specific cue, the collision between your sister's expectations and your own boundaries isn't necessarily fatal to your relationship. You're asking for feedback about communication issues between adult children of alcoholics. That's highly encouraging. Maybe look into resources for ACFA before reaching back out to your sister. It could end up helping both of you learn how to communicate in a healthier and hopefully more productive way. Positive vibes going out to you both. Of greater than I used to go to children's of divided by na groups. It was very therapeutic, and I think maybe if I can find one around here, I'll take Pam with me for a few sessions. It helped me when I first moved away a lot. To by nicknames, greater than NTA in general, but from her perspective, you were her mother because her real mother was absent. And I have a feeling your mother is lying to her because she's being an asshole, not supporting or helping her. Probably your sister screamed at her for being a terrible mother, and your mother thinks, I know I can be the grandmother who is putting up with her, lies, and tells her that you are her real mother, which means her shitty parenting, and leaving you to parent her wasn't shitty parenting. Greater than you may want to break that her mother is lying to her, and you'll take a DNA test to prove it. Tell her to ask the dumbass drunk if she'll do the same, and tell her to figure out why she won't. Of greater than I'm going to give her a few days, and then show her some photos from back then. Some of me as a teenager, to prove I was never pregnant, and some of Mom where she looks obviously pregnant. Hopefully that will help. Otherwise I will offer to do a DNA test, though I'm not sure how to get those done for sisters divided by familial relations that aren't parental. Don Shocker. Greater than your reaction was natural. You were taken completely by surprise, and you reacted instinctively. Greater than I think you can understand your sister's position. Her mother was absolutely no good. The only good memories she has of mothering come from you. Isn't it natural that she fantasized that you are her real mother? However, the sad facts are that your mother is her mother. You were the one who was parentified, forced to take the adult role as a child. Greater than do you know any of Pam's friends that you can call, just to check that she's alright? Of greater than I didn't think of calling her friends. I actually could reach out to one of them and just tell her it'd be a good idea for a movie night or coffee or something, just to spend time with her. She's going through a lot right now, and if I can't be there, at least Sarah can. Update June 29th, 2024. 3 days later. There weren't a ton of comments, but those of you who did comment, I thought you might want an update, and if not, at least I can rant about everything. First, my sister has completely calmed down. Her best friend Sarah took her out last night to watch a movie and get some dinner and just unwind. And while they were hanging out, Sarah talked to her about everything, mostly pointing out that she had seen photos of our mom pregnant and me in the photo. Obviously, she wasn't pregnant with me in those photos, so she had to be pregnant with Pam. So about midnight last night, Pam called and apologized, and we talked for a while, and had a good cry, and I thought everything was settled. I put it down to the fact that she's working part-time and taking summer classes, which are intense. This morning she called to see if I wanted to grab lunch, and she sounded kind of down, but I didn't think anything of it. We went to IHOP and everything was normal again, until she broke down crying towards the end of our meal. When I got her calmed down, a lot of people were nosy Nellies and watching us the entire time. She apologized several times about the thinking I'm her mom thing, and started talking about what led up to it. I guess Mom is drinking heavier again, but more than that, she's pressuring Pam for money, because she's disabled and can't work. And because Pam was giving her money constantly, she got behind in her own bills, which thankfully isn't much but is enough to stress her out, which led her to doing worse in school, and it cascaded. Then a week or so ago, when Pam finally told Mom she could no longer handle giving her money and paying rent on her room, Mom laid into her and said that Pam should be grateful that Mom took care of her when I abandoned Pam to go to college. Which, no, I did not. I only moved out into an apartment nearby, and I was 21, and I came over almost every night to spend time with Pam. I didn't move farther away until after I was married, and by that point Pam was a teenager. Anyway, she told Pam that she didn't have to take care of her because I was Pam's real mother, and that because she was such a good person, she raised my baby, and so Pam should pay her for that. And even if any of that was true, which obviously it's not, I should be the one paying for that, not Pam. But Mom knows that I won't deal with her anymore with the whole NC thing, and Pam is still talking to her. So I've now convinced Pam it's a good idea to go NC with Mom, and if she needs anything, to call me or my husband. No matter what time of day, I okayed it with him. I also offered to pay for a few sessions of therapy. I can afford a couple of months for her at least, and am still trying to find a good children of AA group near us that we can go to, hopefully closer to her than to me, so that she make friends with other people who grew up in our situation. Hopefully that is the end of all of this. I don't know when I can get Pam into therapy, hopefully not too far out, but that is our biggest concern. That and staying NC with Mom. Thanks again for all the helpful advice, especially about calling her friends, which was good divided by Don Shocker. Thank you for that. It was exactly what was needed. Relevant comments. To DOGSLIFE. Greater than if your sister is in college. They often offer free therapy on campus. Greater than just something to check out. Colleges often offer all kinds of services and may even have their own group of Al-Anon or children of alcoholics, and so on. Don Shocker. Greater than thanks for the update. Wow, I'm so glad you had this talk. The whole thing was upsetting for both of you, but the good thing that came out of it was that it brought to light the fact that your mother is bleeding Pam for money, and Pam is reaching breaking point. At least now you have convinced Pam that it is okay to cut off your mother. Also, she knows that you have her back. That is great. And you are a great sister. I hope you manage to get her into therapy and a support group soon. But even what you did already set her on the path to healing. 2 weeks from up. My mother has a drinking problem. My dad has passed away, and a while ago, I went NC with mom for my own sanity. My baby sister, Pam, on the other hand didn't, which led to a really weird situation. A couple weeks ago, Pam and I had a fight, because she accused me of being her real biological mother. There was a lot of parentification going on when I was a teenager, and I pretty much raised her, but I was not her actual mother. However, our mother had decided to tell Pam that I had been a teen mother, abandoned her when I went off to college, and Pam should be grateful that mom raised her. What led to mom revealing that family secret was because Pam had been sending mom pretty much all of her money, which there wasn't a lot of in the first place. Pam's a student, she works part-time, and while she doesn't have a ton of bills, she roommates with several other girls. It put a strain on her, and she tried to cut mom off. So mom told her that story to guilt her into sending her more money, and then Pam, finding out what she thought was a huge betrayal, confronted me. The good news is we worked it all out with the help of her best friend, Sarah, and now Pam is doing better and she's starting therapy. Soon her campus program was kind of crap, so I signed her up with a private provider, but it takes a few weeks and she's gone NC with mom. But none of that has stopped mom from harassing her. First it started with mom calling constantly, but Pam was firm and held her boundaries and told her that until she's gotten help for her drinking, she's not taking her calls. The calls amped up, calling almost every hour, so Pam blocked her number. Then mom started using other phones, like our neighbors, her friends, and so on. She's never been much for social media, so mom had her BFF, a friend from back when she used to work, start messaging Pam on Facebook. So Pam blocked more numbers and just uninstalled FB. She's more of a TikTok kind of person anyway. Then mom showed up to the house when Pam rents her room. Pam wasn't there, thankfully, but mom was so awful to the roommates that they threatened to call the police. And now they want Pam to move out, which, to an extent, I understand. They're all friendly but they aren't friends. And this is added drama that none of them signed up for. My drunk mother showing up and showing her ass would put off the most patient person. Pam thankfully has a rental agreement, so they can't kick her out right away, but it's more stress. I am thinking of breaking my NC rule just to tell mom to back off. She's not doing anything really illegal. It's harassment, sure, but it's not to the extent the police will get involved. She's not violent. She's not threatening anything. She's just doing her get drunk and make everyone miserable shtick she's been doing since I was a kid. I told Pam to tell the girls to call the police if mom shows up again, but the best case scenario is a drunk and disorderly, which mom has gotten before and spent a whole 4 days in jail for. And that was just because it happened on a Friday night, and there was no way to see the judge to set bail until Monday. I don't know, I think I'm just ranting. I don't hate my mom, but I hate what she's doing to my sister. I think if she got clean she might do better. But she's drinking to cover up a lot of emotional problems that she doesn't want to deal with, that she's never wanted to deal with. Instead she made them my problems, and then when I stopped letting her, she made them Pam's problems. I don't want my sister to go through that. I may not have actually given birth to her, but she's the closet thing I'm ever going to get to having a kid, and this has been just fucking awful. Relevant comments. Parts. Greater than if you can help her move or talk to her roommates about putting up a Ring camera. Maybe both, since your mom might keep showing up if Pam moves without her knowing. Greater than also, can you file a restraining order in your area? Greater than if she does show up again and makes a scene, file a police report so it's on record in the event that she does escalate to violence. You never what a person might do. Greater than good news. They already have a Ring camera. Bad news. No, Pam can't get a restraining order. Like I mentioned, the harassment isn't really illegal. It's harassment, but not enough for the police to take it seriously. When Pam called, they told her it was a domestic issue. When I called, they said it was a domestic issue, and unless mom got violent there was nothing they could do. Greater than I already told the Pam to call the police if she shows up again, but I can't imagine it will be any different than any other time when mom did something stupid. Usually the police just take her home. There have been a few times she's been in trouble, like the time she got arrested for drunk and disorderly, or whatever it's called now, but it was a slap on the wrist. Greater than the most she's ever been in trouble was when I was about 8, maybe 7, she got pulled over drunk driving. I was in the car with her, and all I really remember is more police cars and mom taking a swing at a cop. Dad had to come home from a job, and he was furious, and I spent several hours at the police station eating MMS out of one of those quarter vending machine things. And even after all that, Mom still only had what I assume was probation for a year or so. Cat, here's Chuck. Greater than check your sister's credit and your own as well. Greater than I know my own credit pretty well. My husband and I bought a house a bit over a year ago, so on that front we're good. But I will have Pam run hers. I don't think Mom has gone full identity theft, but you never know. Quirky REC or D13 for 8. Greater than a restraining order would be fantastic, but OP has said the harassment doesn't meet the requirements yet. Deleting FB was good. Other suggestions? Pam does move when she can, so Mom can't physically get to her, and changing phone number to cut off verbal harassment. She can't call or get others to call Pam if Mom doesn't know what her number is. Greater than changing her number is a great idea. I'll have Pam check with her provider to see how to get that started. I can't imagine that it's too difficult. Grouchy Store minus 6,758. Greater than besides changing Pam's number, when she moves forward her mail to a PO box or something along those lines to keep your mom from tracking her to her new residence. Mom got arrested July 27, 2024, 1 month from OP. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote a post because my mom was harassing my sister Pam. This was because my sister finally cut off my mom and refused to give her money. So quick till doctor is my mom told Pam a gigantic and stupid, easily debunked lie to guilt Pam into sending her money. The lie caused a bit of drama with me and my sister, but we worked it out because again, it was a very stupid lie. After the truth came out, Pam finally went NC with Mom. Just like I had done a while ago, Mom started harassing Pam, and even after Pam had blocked her number, Mom would find ways to contact her. She even showed up at the house Pam shares with her roommates. The police were absolutely useless and told Pam, and then myself, that there was nothing they could do until Mom threatened violence or became violent. The officers I talked to on the phone actually laughed when I mentioned getting a TRO. It was just a fucking nightmare. So I took some advice from here and got Pam to change her number, and things kind of quieted down. That's when Mom started leaving letters in Pam's mailbox, just drunken ramblings, and so we called the police again, specifically after the third one. The officers they sent out was incredibly rude and told my sister, and I fucking quote, "If I had a daughter like you, I'd also be driven to drink." Before anyone asks, yes, we put in a complaint. No, nothing happened. After that, my husband and I Saturday down, worked out some bills and contacted a lawyer. We don't know any personally, but I did have a coworker who got divorced last year, so I asked him for the number to the family law practice he hired. $150-ish later, I was able to send Mom an official quit your shit letter, and for the past 3 days everything has been blissfully quiet. Then earlier tonight, which I guess technically is this morning, Sarah, my sister's best friend, called because Pam was too shaken up to talk. The police were at Sarah's house and my mom had been arrested. My husband and I hurried over, and by the time we got there the police had already left with Mom. Pam was still crying and having a panic attack. Sarah and Heather were trying to calm her down. I'm just so fucking angry thinking about it. The last time I saw Pam crying like that was when she had found out she was failing biology in 9th grade. She's a perfectionist. You know, I love her to death, but she's so scared of failing. I had come over, and she was just sobbing over a stack of papers, and miserable, and I don't know. I told myself she'd never cry again like that, but she did, and it was because of our mom, and I didn't stop it. Because Pam was too upset to talk. Sarah told us that they had been getting ready to go out for a late movie when my mom showed up. At first Pam told her to just go home. Then Mom started screaming at her and Pam sort of frowncy, and that's when Heather got involved and told my mom that she was going to call the police if she didn't leave. That seemed to work at first, and from what Sarah said, Mom kind of just wandered off down the street. Pam was shaken up, but it seemed to be over. Then they heard a loud crunching sort of noise from outside and they looked, and Mom had driven over the neighbor's mailbox, which to be honest, I didn't notice when I pulled up, but it was flattened. Heather immediately called the police, but I guess so had the neighbors. Then Sarah called us. The police came. Mom refused to do a sobriety test and they hauled her off. The worst part is, I'm not entirely sure they would have actually arrested her if the neighbors hadn't called too. It's kind of a quiet neighborhood, and the people directly next door seem to be in their 50s or so. Sarah said the husband came out to put in the complaint about the mailbox, and the police talked to them more than they talked to Pam, who was actually getting harassed. Because Pam was so shaken up, we brought her home with us. She thankfully passed out almost immediately, and then my husband fell asleep but I can't sleep. I'm so angry. Mom could have hurt someone and the police have done absolutely nothing up to this point. I'm sure we'll have more options now that she's been arrested. Maybe we can even get a restraining order, but if they had just listened to me weeks ago when Mom first started harassing Pam, none of this might have happened tonight. Fuck her. Edited to add, because I forgot to mention, I live about an hour away from my sister. When Sarah called, I had fallen asleep on the couch while my husband Ryan was playing video games. So by the time I got up, got dressed and drove over, nearly 2 hours had passed. Relevant comments are DMCMAINS2. Greater than if your mom gets out and starts putting letters in your sister's mailbox again. Have her call the USPS. That's actually a federal crime. And from what I hear, the postal inspectors don't play. Greater than also, those cops are exactly the reason nobody likes cops these days. Montana Purplemans. Greater than can confirm. A friend ran over a mailbox when drunk. It's a federal felony. Round Blue Happy. Greater than it's not just hitting the mailbox. Putting anything in a mailbox that is not incoming or outgoing mail is a big deal at the USPS, like letters, or packages for a friend, or flyers. Cartabella. Greater than you're taking steps, time to get doorbell and security cameras that record at both of your houses. Mom is going to be let out, but she will be in hot water for the DUI. And if you see H3R on the camera behaving recklessly, you can report her for suspected drunk driving or hopefully, if the courts are more use than the police on a suspended license, you have legal support and each other. She will go through an extinction burst, but looks like she'll put the nails in her own coffin in the process and get herself locked up for one transgression or another. This too shall pass. Update 2 Mom got arrested July 29, 2024, 2 days after last post. I was pretty busy this weekend and didn't get to respond to any comments, so I thought I would respond to all of them and give a quick update. 1. Contact the Postal Service about the letters. I have tried. The girl at the local office had no idea what I was talking about, but she sounded kind of young. I think I'll try calling back tomorrow and see if I get someone else, but thank you for the idea. Googling did not get me anywhere. The complaints page kinda sucks. A lot of information on fraud, less on harassing people. Get a doorbell cam. We have one, or rather, the house that my sister was staying in had one. We have tons of footage of Mom being drunk and belligerent, but again, not actually threatening, so the police shrug and say, oh well, she's not there right now, is she? The actual quote. 3. Contact City Council about the police issue. That is on our to-do list after we get things settled down. That will probably be several months out though. Far, to the attorney, who said contact the I have told Pam to do this, because I'm not the one seeking out the restraining order. I have a feeling it would be more impactful if Pam did it. However, I have told Pam that I will go with her to talk to the DA. Right now I think she's still overwhelmed and just wants to settle in. Which leads me to our update. Pam has moved in with my husband and I. The moment my husband woke up after that awful night, he brought it up to me, which is why I love him. I wanted to bring it up to him, but we only have one small extra room, and we've been using it as an office divided by game room for his board games. So I was afraid that he'd feel cramped. We brought it up to Pam and she seemed relieved. Her roommates are really nice girls, but again, they didn't sign up for this, and I think we can all tell they're tired of Mom's shit. So Sunday, we moved her important stuff over, and she's going to be staying here. Her bed and bigger things are still at the house, but she doesn't have to move it until September when her lease ends. She's having to sleep on a crappy pull-out couch, but I think she feels safer at the very least. Granted, she's upset because she had to quit her job, but I told her she can help around the house, and we'll take care of her rent at the other house. I wouldn't have even brought up the helping around the house, but she heard me tell Ryan I'm going to have to put in a few more hours to cover the rent next month, and she started spiraling about being a burden, which she is not. I'd work 80 hours a week if she's safe and happy. I don't care. As for Mom, Judge saw her this morning and bail was set. I think she's already paid and is waiting to get out, but I don't know for sure. Everything I hear about it is secondhand through friends of friends. I think her godmother bailed her out, because I got a nasty email from her about letting Mom sit in jail. I'm not even entirely sure what she's been charged with. Honestly, I don't care. As long as she leaves us alone, I don't care. So that's it. Not very exciting, but that's actually a good thing. Sarah has been here almost every day to check on Pam. She brought her muffins this morning, and it was good to see Pam smile. This has been so stressful for her. Hopefully in the next few weeks, things will completely calm down and she'll get some much-needed rest. Relevant comments. Magdovis. Greater than I used to be a police call handler. One aspect of the job is to understand that people don't always know the exact crime They're reporting, for example. They often think getting robbed is the same as getting burgled, which are totally different in legal terms. Greater than my point is, don't stress about what crime you think has been committed. Just tell your story and let the experts work out what crime has happened and what to do about it. Latence. Greater than, I think our godmother bailed her out, because I got a nasty email from her about letting mom sit in jail. Greater than, perhaps the poor dear just doesn't understand how your mother is behaving. Perhaps you should help her understand the problem. Greater than, if you can, get someone to tell your mother that your godmother is hiding Pam at her house. If you are lucky, she will spend all her time laying siege at that house, and she won't bother you at all. Howardlets. Greater than, so I've worked in local government, and sometimes it's difficult to navigate. For law enforcement, figure out who they answer to. Depending on the political structure of your area and what type of agency it is, it may or may not answer to city council. For example, where I'm at, the city police answer to the mayor, but the county is an elected agency, so ultimately it's the governor and divided by or state oversight. Greater than, for USPS, you can contact your federal representative and divided by or senator. The former would be better. You may need to send a formal request through their website, but with a little digging, you can probably get their legislative aid and office staff's email to CC as well. Greater than, for the TROC, if there is a victim advocate with the local state attorney's office or whatever your area calls them. This will obviously be more for your sister, but the advocate will help with what resources are available. Greater than, good luck. AITAH, for giving my wife my honest opinion. I am 39, has been with my wife 38 since we were in college. My wife lately started a new lifestyle, I guess, that she believes in: no deodorant, no shaving, shower only if gets dirty, no makeup, no wearing nice clothes. She doesn't have depression or anything. It started when she joined a new yoga class. I never commented, because she is a grown woman and can do what she wants with her body. She asked me today how I feel about her new me. I told her doesn't matter how I feel as long as it makes her happy. She kept asking, but I want to know how you feel. Eventually I said, you really want to know how I feel? I miss the woman I fall in love with. She used to dress nice, smell great, shower every day, wear makeup, brush her hair. I really don't like this whole all-natural thing, but again, not my decision, so I have no saying. She started crying and called me an insensitive vain jerk and now doesn't talk to me. Was I a jerk when she wanted my opinion? Update. Okay, thank you very much for your comments and direct messages. My apologies for my terrible punctuations. Some people asked if she ever sought therapy after our failed fertility journey. No, she didn't. It really hit me, and I never noticed how it affected her. She still gets upset over pregnancy announcements from even strangers and avoids baby showers. Anyways, I decided to have a chat with her, and she said she has been watching a lot of videos and thinks all the chemicals caused her infertility. I was 100% wrong. It wasn't the yoga class. She was following some stuff she watched online about detoxing her body from chemicals. She said she feels like she is not a woman because she can't give me kids. I told her that I don't want to have kids anymore, and that I'm content with our decision. I'm not sure why she thought doing that to her body could help. She said, I have been distant and not affectionate anymore. I laughed and said, it has nothing to do with not having kids. It has to do with your detox. I told her, you have done nothing wrong. Why are you punishing and detoxing your body? We are going to meet a counselor soon. For now, yes, she showered and brushed her hair. Haha, we went for mini golf and brunch. Yes, I was a mega asshole, I admit.